Okay, I know this isn't sourdough, but stick with me here. This is the kind of recipe you keep in your back pocket when you don't have a lot of time, you forgot to feed your starter, but you still want some good bread in a short amount of time. This one is quick, easy, and super reliable. All right, let's make the sandwich bread. I'm gonna start out by melting um, 57 grams of butter. It's about 2 ounces. I usually start with the butter just because it takes time to melt, so I can, while that's heating up and melting, I can get everything else together. Alright. Next, we're going to weigh out 360 grams of flour. You can use all-purpose flour. I just happen to have a lot of bread flour, so that's what I'm using. And then next we'll do 113 grams of water. And so I'm going to do an extra step here. It's called a tongjang. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's a Japanese technique where you cook a little bit of flour and water. And what this is going to do is going to make our bread a little bit softer and stay moist for longer. This is optional. If you're going to eat your bread, if you know you're going to eat all of your bread like on the first day, then I would probably just skip this step because it's not going to make a big difference. But if you're going to eat it over a few days, it's going to keep your bread moisture for longer. So I think it's worth it. It does take a couple extra minutes, but it's no additional ingredients or anything. So you're just going to take your water that you just measured, like 115 grams, and 3 tablespoons of the flour that you measured. So it's all ingredients you would normally measure. And if you are not going to do this, just use the same amount of water, same amount of flour, and make the recipe just like normal. This part doesn't need to be that exact either. So we're just gonna keep this over medium heat, and then stir it with a rubber spatula until it thickens and becomes like a smooth, thick paste. It'll probably take a minute and a half or so. You just want it to turn it into a paste without any dry flour lumps in it. Okay, while that's heating up, I can measure some more ingredients. Next, we're going to do 113 grams of milk. Okay, now we're starting to bubble over here. So I'm just going to keep stirring that. And you'll see it thicken up pretty fast. Nice and thick already. So now you just want to stir it so that all the lumps break up and become incorporated. Alright, so that's cooked. That's like a minute and a half or so. It's smooth, it's thick, it's almost a little translucent. Alright, so we'll turn that off heat. Just leave it to cool down a little bit so it's warm, so it's not like super hot when you mix it in. And we'll finish measuring everything else. Okay, so I got my 113 grams of milk in here. My butter is melting. And I need 8 grams of salt. And 25 grams of sugar. Alright, and then into our flour, add 2 teaspoons of instant dry yeast. 6 grams, 6 grams. Now, instant yeast is different than active dry yeast, like the ones that you get in the little packets at the store. Instant yeast is a little bit more powerful, and you don't have to bloom it in warm water with sugar or anything. You just add it right in with your dry ingredients and you go ahead and bake. Okay, that's everything. Let me check if my butter is melted, and then we'll add all this into the stand mixer. All right, we're over here at our stand mixer bowl. I'm going to add my wet ingredients into the bowl first. And that's generally the case just because it's going to help keep you from getting a bunch of dry flour and stuff stuck to the bottom of your bowl. Then I'll add our doenjang, if that's how you pronounce it. Now this is still pretty warm, but the cold milk should help everything sort of even out. And I'm going to add my melted butter in here too. And then we'll add our flour, all my sugar and salt, still stuck at the bottom of this thing. Okay, then we'll add our flour and yeast. And we're gonna go with a dough hook. And we'll mix this on medium, low for about 7 minutes. Your dough, you'll see in a second, but your dough should be smooth and it'll come away from the sides of the bowl cleanly. Okay, here we are. It's like 6 minutes later. The dough is smooth. The bowl coming away from the bowl clean. Not sticking anymore. Move over here in the light. It's it's not sticky. It's smooth. I'm just gonna form it into a little ball. And we're just gonna do our first proof, our bulk ferment. But I'm gonna do just a very, very light coat just to help with any sticking as it sits in here. You can also just use your stand mixer bowl if you want. This was just a bowl I measured my flour in, so it's already dirty. Then we're gonna cover it, let it rise till it about doubles in size. Should take about an hour if it's relatively warm. And as I always do, I like to write down the time that I'm starting this first ferment. That way, if I forget, if I don't set a timer, or if I start a timer, I don't remember what it's for, I know how long this has been fermenting. Or if I don't know like what size it started at, I can usually estimate like it's been an hour, hour and a half. I should be good to go. So I'll see you guys in about an hour. We'll see how things are looking. Okay, so here we are about an hour later. Actually just under an hour, but this is definitely doubled. So I've got that, and then I've got you can use whatever your favorite loaf pan is, but I would recommend a metal one over like a ceramic earthenware one. We're gonna just grease this guy up a little bit. You can use oil. I'm just using butter because we used butter in our bread dough. This is probably a little aggressive on the butter, but won't hurt anything. Yeah, so this is like a 1 pound loaf pan, or you'll see it as like a 5 by 9 or 4.5 by 8.5 or 4.5 by 9, whatever. Something in that range will be good. Alright, so whatever surface you're working on, you just want to lay your pan so you can see it, just because we're going to want to shape our dough to be the same length as our pan. That's I don't know if you can hear me. That's my son. He just woke up from his nap. Alright, so we're gonna punch it down. All that air that's risen up in there, take it out. And then we're just gonna do like a little pre-shape roll into the size of our pan here. So stretch it out till it's about the same length. You can be a little bit smaller because it's gonna rise again. And then you're just gonna turn it in onto itself, pushing at the bottom until you get a nice little roll, and you can pinch the seams kind of tight. And hopefully, if you did it with kind of even pressure, this will rise fairly evenly in our pan. So then you're just gonna plop it into your greased pan, seam side down. And then you're gonna take your plastic wrap that you used, or whatever you used to cover. I'm gonna put a teeny bit of oil on here. And then we're gonna cover this to proof again. Again for about an hour, or until it doubles, or till it raises. It's gonna rise hopefully about, I don't know, like an inch or so above the rim of your pan. So that's why I oil this plastic wrap and just cover it really lightly, so that when it rises, it can push this up and it won't stick. So keep it loose. If you want to write your time again on here, I would recommend it. Yeah, it should take about an hour again. And then we'll bake it. Alright, so I'll see you soon. Alright, here we are about an hour later. My dough has risen about an inch over the edge of my pan here. And this actually happened in a little bit less than an hour. So I think it might be too warm in here. When you poke it, the dough should slowly spring back. But as you can see here, mine's staying a nice dent there, so this might be a teeny bit overproofed. We'll find out after we bake it. Okay, we're gonna go into a 350-degree still oven for 30 to 40 minutes. And this bread doesn't get crazy brown. If you want a little darker, you could bump your temperature up a little bit. So there, you can see that little dent there, so it never popped out. So I think this is definitely gonna be a little overproofed. Now, if you're not sure that your bread is done inside, you can take an instant read thermometer and check the center. You're looking for around 190 degrees Fahrenheit, and it'll be completely cooked inside. Then you're going to want to pop this out pretty quick while it's still hot, and get it on a wire rack so that it can cool, and then wait till it's completely cooled before you cut into this. So you're looking at least an hour, but more is even better. And there you have it. Pretty easy. Took about 2 hours plus the bake time, so I'd say under 3 hours you can have this bread done start to finish. It's completely cooled now. Check out the inside. It doesn't look crazy overproof from the outside, so not too bad. You can see some of those bigger bubbles near like the top third there. So not too bad, but I think it was just because it was pretty hot in the kitchen. Still nice and squishy. Fairly evenly cooked inside besides that top section. That's it. Easy. Spread some butter on it, give it a sample, and then make a sandwich with it. Do whatever you want. Keep this recipe in your back pocket. You don't have a lot of time, but you want some good bread. Thanks for watching.